Hello everyone, welcome back to Analog IAS Prelims 2020 Special Series, and today's Economy Prelims 2020 Special Series topic that we'll be discussing is Operation Twist. Now before beginning this topic, let me quote the purpose of this particular Operation Twist. The purpose cited by RBI is to bring down the interest rates in the economy, and the context in which this Operation Twist is happening is through open market operations, that is simultaneous sale and purchase of government bonds. Now what is this interest rates that we're talking about? What is the open market operation that we're talking about? Let me explain in detail. In our basic economy classes, we have already learned that monetary policy broadly consists of two different kinds of tools, the quantitative tools and the qualitative tools. So whenever we are talking about open market operations, we have to remember the fact that it is a quantitative tool, meaning that we can quantify whatever is being done under this subhead. So Operation Twist that we are talking about right now is one sort of a open market operation. So what exactly happens in this open market operations? Say for example, in our economy, if there is a lot of liquidity and people have a lot of money, in that situation, what RBI basically does is RBI sells government securities to the public and takes away their money. So this way they will be controlling inflation. Controlling inflation is one of the main objective of RBI and the only objective of the Monetary Policy Committee. Similarly, when there is no money with the public, what RBI does is they will buy back this government securities and in return gives money to the public and thereby ensure that the deflationary trend stops. Now coming back to our topic, what exactly is this Operation Twist? Now we have to understand that government securities have different tenures. Now what is a government security? We have already discussed in previous videos, but I am repeating once again. Government security is a paper which says that after a particular period of time, the loan taken from the investor would be paid back with an annual interest rate. So these are of two kinds, short term and long term. So in order to ensure that rate transmission happens and rate cuts or the interest rate cuts are passed on to the consumers, Operation Twist is being carried out. What is the procedure? Open market operations. On behalf of government, it is the RBI that is empowered to do this open market operations. Now what is RBI doing in this exactly? It is selling these short term bonds. With the money it got through selling, it is buying the long term bonds. So as a part of this operation, in December 2019, RBI has sold nearly 10,000 crores worth government securities which had a interest rate of 6.45%. So these government securities were set to mature in the year 2020. The reason for doing all this is RBI has not been so successful in ensuring that banks are. So what is this issue of rate transmission? We have already seen in the previous video regarding long-term repo operations as well, but I am repeating it once again in this context. So RBI and Monetary Policy Committee together have a mandate to control inflation as well as macroeconomic stability. So Monetary Policy Committee tries to enforce that the rate cuts that are given in the bi-monthly monetary policy issued are passed on to the consumers by the banks. So say for example, SBI has an interest rate of say X at a particular point of time. Now when RBI reduces the repo rate, obviously RBI expects SBI to pass on this rate cut to the consumer. Now at this juncture, we have to remember that RBI can only advise banks with respect to monetary affairs. It is actually the banks that should be reducing this rate cut. They have different reasons like NPAs, high cost of borrowing, etc. for not passing on these benefits to the customers. This is the issue of rate transmission. Now when we talk about long-term stability, say for example you want to buy a house, you will not be interested in short-term rate cuts. Say for example you have a 5% interest rate when the economy is doing well in the next 4 or 5 months. After the next bi-monthly policy, suddenly the rates would go up and you would be forced to pay more because there will be more number of people demanding loans in a period where there is economic boom. So in this context, people will not be interested in long-term investment like house EMIs or say any other infrastructure projects unless and until they are sure about a stable long-term interest rate. So to enforce this long-term trust in the economy, RBI is carrying out this Operation Twist. Now at this juncture, I request everyone to watch the previous video on bond yields. However, I am repeating the basic gist again. Whenever a bond price rises, the yield decreases. We have seen this in our previous video regarding bond yield. So in this open market operations, in the Operation Twist context, RBI is buying long-term securities. So as a result, obviously the demand for that bond rises and therefore the bond price rises. As you've seen in the previous video, when a bond price rises, the yield obviously decreases. So when the long-term yield reduces for the banks will have an option either to invest in government securities at this lower yield or give loans to people at a lower interest rate than the rate that is existing now. So in this way, RBI ensures that there is no choice for the banks but to reduce their long-term interest rates. They will be forced to channel their investments into these long-term projects. What is the main motive behind this entire Operation Twist? So the idea is that business investment in our economy, which is witnessing a slowdown even before this COVID-19 crisis, the idea is that business investment and housing would perform better when there is a long-term interest rate stability. So if we have longer term interest rates which are at a lower level, our economy will borrow more. And for this to happen, the bank should actually transmit the rate cuts to the consumers for a longer period. To ensure this, Operation Twist was carried out. So this is Operation Twist in brief. Thanks for watching the video.